started. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And I would really appreciate, I want this to be interactive. We're gonna be here for like 3 hours. That's a lot of time. So if you feel free to turn on your cameras if you want to. This is going to be interactive. I want to talk through things, and we'll have a lot of discussion during this session. So feel comfortable, and if you can, please do have your screens, your camera turned on so that we can see each other and talk things, see those beautiful faces, smile. I can see if you don't like something. Last time when I did this, I did it in Boston. It was in person. It's easier for me to look at a person and say, okay, I'm doing good things, or they're smiling, or things are not going in the right direction. So I would really appreciate if you have your cameras turned on. So I'm going to start with introductions. Obviously, I'm Harish Palani. I'm a digital practice specialist for Perkins. I'm based out of Dallas studio, Texas, Dallas. So digital practice in Perkins, we are a group of designers and architects all around the world. We are about 35 people almost. So we help designers. We are on the background doing technology stuff. It includes everything technology in architecture. So these are all the people, awesome people that we have at Perkins. And this session, based on vibe coding, it was a part of the research that I did in Perkins. We have this innovation incubator kind of program in Perkins, which allows us to do specific researches and stuff. So I did this whole thing, the content that you see in this presentation, along with Michael Honiak. He's a colleague based out of a Denver studio. He's also a digital practice specialist. So a lot of thanks to him and many other people. Charlie is here with us on the call. He has helped us a lot on these things. So thanks to everyone who's been a part of this research. I want to start with introduction from everyone. I want to hear where you're from, what do you do, and also I want to know a superhero, kind of an icebreaker. What's your superhero character in your firm? If you can give yourself a superhero character, what would that be? I'm going to be I can be something okay, I wrote it down. So but I want you all to be spontaneous because some of things I can have things prepared. Last time I had a chat with ChatGPT and I was like, what would be the best icebreaker kind of question that I can ask to a group? So I want to be a captain iteration. So all I do is just I never settle for an output. I keep on going for new options. So I want to know your superhero power that you have. And in this session, we're going to focus on Revit, Rhino, Dynamo, Grasshopper. So I want to know your experience on these tools. Have you used it? You've never opened Grasshopper, you've never opened Dynamo. So just a little bit your experience with these tools. Who wants to go first?
I can be an icebreaker. Revit, used it. Use it once in a while. Dynamo, I haven't used it in so long that I should just say I haven't used it. Rhino and Grasshopper I use frequently.
Okay. I can even so Tim Myers, you're on my screen first. Do you want to go?
Yeah, lucky me. Yeah, Tim Myers. I'm with CGF Architects out of Seattle, Washington. And I do sustainability, computational analysis, making a mess of things. I thought your icebreaker was which superhero is represents me most, which first thing that came to mind was Hulk, because I just get in there and smash things. Not to the liking of project teams. But then I typed it into Gemini here and it says computational catalyst, whatever that means. But yeah, look forward to what you have today.
Fantastic. Have Daniel.
Hey, So I've used a ton of Revit and Dynamo, only a little bit of Rhino and Grasshopper, but a lot of Python and PyRevit and things like that. So my superhero would be Data Boy. He's everyone's favorite sidekick.
So, I got Andrew next on my screen.
Yeah. Hey everybody. Andrew Gressett here in SWA in Houston. I'm a landscape architect here. Yeah, and so for the icebreaker, I don't know many superheroes off the top of my head, but if I had a superpower, I would definitely say it's like the ability to clone myself, so I could do like as many things as I want to do at the same time because I feel like there's always something that's intriguing me and I'm like, yeah, I don't have time for every one of those things. And then on experience level, Rhino user daily, Grasshopper user daily, Revit a lot less, but definitely experience in it, and Dynamo want to get into. So yeah, excited.
Awesome, perfect. We have Akito. Sorry if I'm getting your name wrong.
Thank you. I'm Akihito. I'm from Japan. So it's midnight in Japan and I can speak English well. So nice to meet you. Sorry.
That's totally fine. Can I know your experience on different programs?
No.
No experience? Okay, awesome. Okay, like we can come back. Abhishek, you're next.
Thank you.
Oh, cool. Hey everyone, my name's Abhishek. I work at TT. I have a fair bit of experience with Revit, plugin development, Grasshopper, Rhino, also app development. Kind of that's been my background. Superhero, I don't know. I want to say if I were to pick, I'd say Batman. Kind of do your own day job thing, low key, and then at night go down there. That's when you actually have fun and tinker with stuff. So I'll go with that.
Let's go. All right, we got Carlos next.
Hey, yeah, I think I'm gonna copy Batman because I really like the technology. Like you work something during the day, but then at night it's when things actually start to happen. Very well proficient on the tools I use most of the days. Revit right now, Grasshopper, Dynamo not so much these days, but I used it quite a bit years ago. And yeah, I think I already said I'm based in Boston, and I hope to see most of you in New York in next week.
Awesome. We got Seda next.
Hello, maybe it can be a little noisy around here.
No, you good.
Sorry. Okay. Hi, I'm based in Istanbul and I have experience with Python, Grasshopper, Rhino, and very little with Revit, but I have never used a Dynamo at all. And I have no idea about the like superhero, but I think my superpower is I'm like usually the bond between people and just connect the ideas and people together. So maybe that can be a
Awesome. Thank you.
can be one. Okay.
We got Yuvashri.
Hi everyone. You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I'm an interior designer. I came here from Jacob Russo's class, and we were exploring computational design, Rhino, Grasshopper, and all that. I've never used Dynamo before, and I have no idea about the superhero thing. I've not. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Thank you. We got Albert next. We have him. All right, I think I'm gonna go for the next one. Yuan? Juan? Sorry. I don't think we can hear you.
Oh, hey, hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. Hi, Juan Mosquera here. I'm a VDC engineer from Ryan Companies. We're located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I use Revit, Dynamo, Grasshopper, and Rhino kind of often. Try to work on the computational design part and provide assistance to everybody. And for superhero, I would say Aquaman. I love the ocean. I love water. So, yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you. We have Brian next.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brian Rincon. I am from HNTV, part of the design technology team there for the architecture department, mainly focusing on sports and aviation projects. Yeah, mainly focus on computational design, but primary tool I would say is Grasshopper. And I walked in late, so I don't know what you guys were asking.
Oh, so if you had a superhero power in your office, what would that be?
I would say thinking outside the box. I'm definitely someone that's like, always thinking macro,
Okay.
thinking out there. So yeah.
All right. Interesting. Thank you. And we have Channel. Sorry if I'm getting your name wrong.
That's okay. It's Chanel. I'm Chanel
Channel.
Hightower. I'm with BMA Architects out of New York. I use Revit every day in our practice. Rhino occasionally, just now getting into Grasshopper. My superpower, I guess, would be like my curiosity and maybe a little bit obsession. I really like to figure things out all the way through. So yeah.
All right. Thank you. I think I almost got everyone except Albert. So thank you, everyone. I'm gonna move forward and get started. So what is vibe coding? Like just introduction to vibe coding. What exactly is vibe coding? So vibe coding is a process where you use artificial intelligence to generate functional code just through prompts, right? It's instead of traditionally programming something by writing code, you're using artificial intelligence and using artificial intelligence to write the code for you. So the term vibe coding was coined way back, which goes to February 2025. It's a brand new term coined by Andreja. He is a former, I think, OpenAI employee. So in his X profile, he said this whole idea of using artificial intelligence is more like vibing with AI. So he said, I'm like, he's saying that this is vibe coding. And funny enough, vibe coding was selected as the added to dictionaries this year, and it's like the word of the year. So every year, I think we have a new word, and vibe coding is the word of this year. So it's an official word now, even though it's two words together. So vibe coding is like a pretty interesting concept in the world of technology and IT and like software engineering and stuff. But what does it mean to us as designers in the AECtech? So vibe coding in design is a concept of how a designer interacts with AI, where they use large language models as a translator between human intent and mission, um, and use that for a creative thinking rather than just like executing a specific thing that they want to do. It's more of a dialogue where designers are expressing their intent that they want to do, and AI translates that into a code that they can interact with the software and come up with, interesting design ideas. Um, and it also lowers the barrier to entry for people to get into different programs. Like when we have like complex modeling, so like generating a script that we want to do, which usually has a steeper learning curve and takes years of experience to get into something like that. This process for designers will help them to lower the barrier of entry for them to get into tools like different Grasshopper and like coding and different things. So this is what it means to for us in a design setup for vibe coding. So in this presentation, I'm going to say LLMs. I'm sure everyone knows it, but if you have no idea what LLM is, LLMs are large language models, which is like ChatGPT and Gemini and everything that we started using on a daily basis. There's a wide range of LLMs out there now, so you can just see an evolution tree. This one, which is just till 2023, but there's a lot more out there. So some of the famous ones and the most popular ones are these over here. And for the content that I'm going to show, it's mostly with Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini. Make sure you have access to one of these. And I will highly suggest that Claude is a really good one for coding. But I prefer ChatGPT because it's more conversational. I like to have a little more conversation. If you get an output in Claude in one step, ChatGPT would probably take 2 or 3 steps to get there. But I kind of like the conversations that I have with ChatGPT, and it also remembers my preferences. So it's more like I'm training the ChatGPT to understand me more and give me results based on my needs. So I prefer ChatGPT, but make sure for this workshop, you have access to any one of these 3 LLMs. It's free. You can just sign up and start using them. So before going to the next section, I want to know if everyone has Rhino installed, if you have any issues with it, or do everyone have Rhino installed? All right, I'll take that as yes. If you don't, feel free to ask me questions, stop me in the middle. We want to keep it as interactive as possible. So the next one, we're getting into a story. I want to start with a story, and this is a story of AutoCAD automation. So while I was working, there was this task that came up, and we have a set of AutoCAD drawings which was missing this one word in the template. They just wanted to add record drawings to a specific location in the template for an AutoCAD drawing, which is a really old drawing. We don't have the Revit file and things like that, but we want to add this record drawings term to the template. But we had over 3,000 plus. This is just one folder of record drawings, but one folder of AutoCAD drawings, but we had over 3,000 plus AutoCAD drawings that needed this word to be added to it. So I'm a computational designer. My first go-to would be going to Grasshopper. I soon realized it just made things more complex than actually helping me. So I had to go for another option. We have Clarity. If you all have used Clarity, Clarity is an automation tool. So I went to Clarity and see if I was able to do something with Clarity, but it had an automation for AutoCAD, but it was not working properly, or it was really old. People are not doing it anymore. So Clarity was not also an option. And then just browsing through the internet, found Script Pro, which was an automation tool for AutoCAD from Autodesk, but it was discontinued after 2018, after 2018. So that was also not an option. So I went back to AutoCAD. I was I've used Grasshopper. I know there's Python scripting and stuff in Grasshopper and Rhino. So I was maybe AutoCAD also has something like that. So just going through AutoCAD in the Manage tab, I was able to find a Run Script option, but I had no clue what to do with these things. But I'm sure we can do something with this Run Script option in AutoCAD. So asked internet, couldn't find anything. Obviously, the next option is to go to ChatGPT. And I was okay, there is an option called Run Script, and it said it needs a .scr file. So I was what does a .scr file in AutoCAD mean in the Run Script command? And so ChatGPT gave me these results and saying it's the automate, it's used to repeat, automate repeating tasks and apply some kind of things to it, and used for batch processing. And this is probably exactly what I want to do. I just need to do a batch processing and add something. So it can repeat to all the AutoCAD files that I have. So just with more conversation back and forth with ChatGPT, and I'm explaining what exactly I want to do, I finally did a text file. This was the output from the conversation that I had, which is basically a text file of just a list of commands. If you're an AutoCAD user, you used AutoCAD before, you can familiarize yourself with the commands that you see over here. So if you can see on the line 12, which is mtext, which is a command for model text. And if you use that command in AutoCAD, it's going to ask you for the first location where you want to do that text. So in this case, I said 0, 0. And the second location, it's the second point where you wanted 3, -3. And then what is the text that you want to input? So in this case, it'd be record drawings. And then I'm rotating it, moving it to the position that I want, and then saving it in a specific location and closing out of the AutoCAD drawing. So this is just series of commands of AutoCAD, and which is just basically a text file, which is saved as .scr file. So once I created this text, this ChatGPT helped me to do that, and back and forth, I run some tests with just like test AutoCAD drawing to see if this actually works. So once I have a file, I'll just have to choose that, go to manage, and then use run script. And I have a couple of files, as you can see in this folder. I just used the last one. And when I hit load, it just runs the script and saves and closes this file. Sorry, but the Grasshopper. And you can see it added the record drawings to the AutoCAD file that I had open. So this script basically runs it, adds that record drawing to an open AutoCAD file. This is perfect. This is exactly what I want to do. So I got the first task done. The next is to just automate it and scale it to 3,000 plus DWGs. So went back to ChatGPT. I was like, this is perfect. This is what I have. And I need to run it on 3,000 plus AutoCAD drawings. So it was giving me this list method, which is also something that you can do in AutoCAD, and a batch file, which is batch file operation that you can do. To give you a background, I have no clue about any of these things. Like I'm like I would consider myself between beginner and intermediate in coding. Have no clue what a batch file is. Had no clue how to do scripting. So from a person who's coming from that perspective, this was so interesting for me. And using this process, I was able to, you can see there's a lot more conversation with ChatGPT back and forth. And finally, I came up with this 20 lines of code, which is basically a bat file, which takes the location of my DWG files and the script that I've created, which is the .scr file that I showed before. And it points to on the line 4, you can see it points to program files, Autodesk. It opens the AutoCAD exe and then runs the script on the AutoCAD and saves and closes it. So when I run this bat file, you can see it opens up AutoCAD one file at a time and runs the script on each and every file. So you would see, yeah, you can see the next line created. So it opens each and every file in that folder location that I've specified and then runs the script on them. And you can see over here in around like 5 hours of time, it just went through the entire AutoCAD drawings that was in those folders and ran the script on it. And it added the text that I wanted on all of them. So, sorry, yeah. So like the whole process took me around like 4 hours to figure out and actually run it, do a couple of tests on like example files, and finally run it on all the files that I had. I would say without like ChatGPT or other LLMs, I probably would have not been able to do this entire process. There was also a learning for me that happened in that 4 or 5 hours on how to figure this out and do this whole batch operation process, which is not possible without using these tools. So I'm looking at this as more of a learning tool to get me into something. It's more like an expert, which is right next to me, who can help me out with the things that I want to do if I ask the right questions. So with that, I'm going to move into what are the different opportunities. This is perfect. Like we did this. What are the other opportunities that we have with this LLMs? So I see LLMs more like an intermediate between humans and program. So humans as in us, it can talk the language that we talk, and then there's the program which talks like scriptings and like other programming languages. The LLM can talk both languages, so it kind of acts as the intermediate between us and the program and translates mostly like a translator between the two of us. So a first example, first opportunity could be Revit. This is Revit Python shell. If you've used Python and Revit, it's just a tab. And I asked ChatGPT to isolate all the walls in a 3D view and highlight them with different colors based on type. So you can see just by running the script, I had a conversation with ChatGPT. I ran the script, and then you can see it just hid all the walls in the 3D view and highlighted the walls with different colors based on their types. Another one is an example in Rhino. Rhino has a script editor. So the command is edit Python script, and then I have a conversation with ChatGPT. I have a surface, need an hexagon or something like that based on the image that I provided. So I ran a script over there, and you can see target surface and choose points and lines. It kind of quickly created a script that I was able to execute in Rhino. So this is another opportunity that we have when it comes to vibe coding. The next one, Blender. If you're a Blender user, if you have used Blender, Blender also has a Python editor or a scripting node, whole scripting interface where you can input scripts and run a task. So you can see I wanted an hexagon pattern on this object that I've selected. So I just like vibe coded the code and then copy pasted it in scripting node in Blender, and you can see it executed it. So Blender is another opportunity. You'll be surprised, like you can do scripting for Photoshop. So it's a vibe coded thing. I don't know what to do with Photoshop. So I was like, make a grasshopper just right from scratch. So this is completely vibe coded grasshopper that ChatGPT thought. This is the grasshopper interpretation of ChatGPT, which is basically all code. And interesting enough, you can see all the layers. It puts like legs and like different things, eyes, and like all sorts of crazy stuff. I think it's beautiful the way it can interpret a grasshopper and like make it in Photoshop just through code. I thought it was fascinating. The same I did for Illustrator, created another script, and it's actually a JavaScript file type. So just save that as JavaScript file extension and then ran it in Illustrator, asking to do a grasshopper in Illustrator. There we go. This is much more defined grasshopper. The same, it like categorize everything based on layers and stuff, and then created a grasshopper. Excel, we are all familiar with Excel. So Excel do have a VBA scripting option. So I asked to create a synthetic data of just like employees, 100 employees, just to run an example. So it created, just made up 100+ employees, gave them random phone numbers and location, department, title. This is all just like prompted and like done with ChatGPT, and it just created a script to do this. It's crazy. Obviously, you can use it in Dynamo. Grasshopper, we have a Python node in Grasshopper. We have a Python node in Dynamo that'll allow you to copy paste things or type code into it. So these are opportunities, and this is probably what we are going to see in the session. And it just doesn't stop there. There's a lot more opportunities. You can use it. These are all familiar tools that we use on a day-to-day basis. All the Adobe suite, like everything has a scripting option in it. Excel, Power BI, Power Automate, even PowerPoint has a ChatGPT plug into it. Unreal Engine, Blender, Dynamo, Grasshopper, Revit, Rhino inside. The possibilities are endless as long as like you can figure out the use cases for it. So with that, let's just start small. This is time for some activity. If you all have Rhino, please go ahead, open it up, and also have one of the LLM, can be a ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, do have that open. If you don't know what programming languages, we're going to talk about programming languages. If it's like completely new to you, it's just a languages. We call it scripting. So I'm going to mention scripting over here. It's just programming languages. This is how we interact with. It's a bunch of code of lines and text file that specifies a command that can be used to execute a function. So there are familiar or like popular coding languages like Python, C#, and JavaScript. These are some things that you can see. And today for this session, we'll primarily focus only on Python. So just to give you an introduction, like when I say script, it either means like Grasshopper script or maybe a Python script. It's just a programming language. So I want you all to make a table in Rhino, which is 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, and 3 feet height with 4 legs without any modeling. All you're going to use is just prompt this in ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, and you're going to use a Python code that it's generating and create a table in Rhino. So how you can do it is, if you have Rhino open, this is the command, edit Python script. So once you type this command, and then you'll have a Python editor window, and the code that you're generating in ChatGPT, you can copy paste it over here. I'll show you an example. I'm going to open up my. So I'll start with a cube. Make a cube in Rhino. Oh, make a cube using Python in Rhino. Okay, so it also gave me a code already. So this is how you do it. You prompt something, it's going to give you a code, a Python code. Copy that, go to Rhino. In Rhino, once you have Rhino open, the command for it is edit Python script. Edit Python script. So that's the command. Enter the command. You will see a Python script editor in a minute. Oh, what's going on? Let's have 3 screens over here. Let me navigate. Edit. Oh, okay, all right, it's here. Yeah. So once you run the edit Python script, you'll see this interface over here. I'll copy paste my code. Just I did copy the code in ChatGPT. I pasted over here, hit play, and did it create the cube? It didn't. One sec. Edit Python script. All right. Yeah, so you copy paste it, hit this play button. It needs to run and do something. So I want you to struggle. You can see me struggling already, but I want you all to do this. Open ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini and make a table which is 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, 3 feet height. And I'm gonna leave it at this slide so that you can see the command. Let me know if someone has created a table, and I think everyone has access to the chat. It'll be great if you can put a screenshot of it in the chat. Let me make sure I can put a screenshot.
What were the dimensions we were going for again?
6 feet long, 3 feet wide, 3 feet high. Okay, Carlos got a table already. Carlos, can you also put your prompt that you did this for this table?
Okay, it's gonna be terrible because it turns out whenever I talk to ChatGPT, I don't care about spelling or grammar. English is my second language, right? So
That's
I will
fine.
just throw things at it, and it's not gonna be
No,
pretty. I'll put it
it
there.
doesn't have to be pretty. That's the idea of this whole session. Like, just feel free to put it. No judgments here. Just copy paste your code. So your prompt in the chat. You probably would have seen, like, even in a couple of slides before that I showed screenshots, like I spelled my command wrong. So it happens. Okay, so you're saying you're working in Rhino. I would like to make a table which is 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, 3 feet tall. Can you do some Python script? Okay, that does that. Perfect. And then you got a table. Is it the right dimensions? Can you check the dimensions?
I mean, looks proportionate, yes, I will assume. And then, yeah, it is. And then I
Okay.
asked to do it in a way that it prompts me for the sizes, right? So I can actually input the sizes in Rhino.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool.
Did anyone else get an output? We want everyone to make a table. So, okay, so we have you have write a Python script 3 to model a dining table, which is 3 feet wide, 6 feet long, and 6 feet high. And okay, perfect. You got a table. That's cool. Also, like if someone didn't get an output, we want to know that too. Like, let me know if you're not able to get a table. I don't want anyone to model. Do not use any Rhino commands. You're not allowed to use any commands in the session. It should all be through. Perfect. Okay, you're getting an error. You're also getting a table. That's good. Yeah, we need errors.
I
Like,
have an interesting one. I gave it the prompt without giving it too much more context, and the code I got didn't work in the script, but I think needs to be thrown into a component. That's what I'm trying now. We'll see if
okay.
that works. No reason.
Daniel, can we also get your prompt that you used?
Sure. I did it a couple of different ways, and the first prompt didn't give me a result, or it failed on something that I didn't know how to do. So, but I was trying to give it a fancy edge. So I'd made it simpler. So I've got a couple of prompts that I've been through.
Okay.
If I can find my Zoom window. Too many windows open.
Anyone else not able to open Rhino, or everyone have access to it? So even if you have some errors, also put the errors that you're getting, maybe just like screenshot of the errors or the prompts that's not working. Okay, so using Rhino 3D, provide a script to generate a dining room table that's 6 feet long, 3 feet wide, 3 feet high, with 4 tapered squared legs. Give a table bullnose edge. Okay. Produce a Python script for Rhino that I can create a table and chairs from input prompts. Table dimensions should have inputs. Okay, so you want custom inputs. This is interesting. I think this is the fascinating part of this workshop. Um, like you can see, we are all trying to just do a table of the same dimensions, but everyone's getting a completely different results and errors. We'll talk about errors.
By the way,
If
you
you get
can
an
just copy paste that error as well into GPT or something and ask it to fix things. So in the first iteration, it gave me some code with, I think ASCII characters or something that Rhino didn't like, and I got that error message. So I just copied and pasted that back into GPT, and it'll fix it for you sometimes, many times, hopefully.
He's just giving out all secrets, Abhishek. That's the whole
Oh,
point of
shoot.
this session. I want everyone to struggle. So we did this same thing in Boston a month ago, and then we had around like 15 people for that session as well. And we're trying to do the same kind of thing, but we all got completely different results to just make a simple table. Okay, one, you got results, two, perfect. I see a table now. Does this table have like it has a circle leg. That's interesting. Juan, did you ask for a circle leg, a cylinder legs, or it just gave you a cylinder?
No, I actually said do 4 legs that look,
Okay,
and
so I
then
just made
yeah, I
something.
did completely had a million errors and had to ask to, hey, no, that's not what I want, things like that. So yeah.
Okay, perfect, perfect. This is fantastic. All right, so I can see everyone struggling. Yes, as Abhishek said, like if you get an error, just copy that error and then paste it back into Claude or ChatGPT and run it again. So you might get some results. So, okay, this is perfect. I'm going to the next one. So on the tables that you've created, add circles. I want random circles on the table, um, on the surface of the table, and it needs to be hollowed out, like Boolean difference. The circles need to be subtracted from the surface of the table. So that's the next task. The create a table, add random circles on the table, and then subtract it from the surface of the table. Can we try that? And put your results in the chat. Let's see what kind of interesting results do we get. Yeah, I can see some skinny legged tables. There's like some legs, which is like, yeah, huge legs and some tapered legs, some circles. I see square tables, semi-fail. This is interesting. Is everyone able to access Rhino? Like if you're having issues with Rhino or not able to access it, yeah, feel free to ask me any questions. Okay, Carlos got some circles on the table. Okay, Abhishek's got some circles too. Did it do a Boolean difference, Abhishek? It looks like.
Yeah, it did. And then it did have an issue with some just list structures and stuff, but working through that. I'm just posting in also my comments in case anybody who has trouble either with just language or like ideas for prompt that might help.
Perfect. I'm gonna give another minute or so. Even if you're getting errors, like I would love to see the errors. Like just feel free, like just post your errors in the chat. We actually want to know that like the errors is the part of the process. So if you have errors or if you're not able to create a table on, okay, yeah, we got errors over here. Anyone else was able to get circles on the table? Okay, we got, okay, it's just the circles. It's not doing a Boolean difference. Interesting. One got some circles too. Yeah, see, it's not doing some Boolean difference. I think I'm gonna move on. So this is just an example, and you can see all we were trying to do in this whole process to just make a simple table had a bunch of circles on top of it, and it's giving us terrible results. The vibe coding could be such an interesting term, and it looks all like cool and stuff, but it is such a frustrating process, even to do like the most simplest tasks. So we're going to see what would be the best way to ask the questions and what kind of information should we need to give, and to get the results that we want to do, get results. And I'm going to show a bunch of examples of what we have done so far with the same process, and talk you through the whole thing. So the next one, I wanted to show you this, like maybe the circles, maybe add, like make it into, use one of the math patterns, maybe do a Fibonacci sequence on top of the circle, arrange them in a Fibonacci sequence or gradient pattern and like all those kind of things. But I'm going to move on. Feel free to do it on the background. Try to put some patterns on the circles, like make them into a pattern and arrange it on the desk and make a Boolean difference out of it, or like make subtract that volume on the surface of the table. Do try that, and if you get some results, post it in the chat. So the next one is like, we can see there's so many issues now. We don't know what to do, how to interact with these tools. So I really want to talk about the kind of interactions that we need to do with these tools in order to get the results that we want to get. So can anyone feel free to unmute and tell me, what do you see in this picture? Describe this picture, someone.
It's like 3 windows deep into the UI on Revit.
Okay, so we're seeing Revit, and I see the visibility graphics, and we see a bunch of fill pattern graphics. So we can say that, right? I gave this image to ChatGPT, and I was like, describe this image in detail. And this is the description that I got from it. Just a single image, no other prompts. I'm not giving any other context. Gave the image, and I'm like, describe this image in detail. And this is all the information that ChatGPT can um, extract from that one screenshot that I provided. So you can see it says it's visibility graphics override. It's focusing on area plan and smoke compartments in specific. And on the foreground context, there's fill patterns and colors tab that's open. We have views, like talking about filters. It's listing out the name of all the filters, getting all the names exactly, 1 hour fire rating, 2 hours fire barriers, and all those kind of things. So it also says all filters are enabled filtered, like it's all enabled, nothing is checked, like enabled. So, and there's like pattern overrides. So you can see just from that one screenshot, it gets so much information. And if you read towards the end, it also says like the date and time is 3:35 p.m. on this specific date. And I think it's a session on fire safety or something like that, area plans and stuff. So just a screenshot can give so much context to these LLMs. So it's important for us when we are asking a question to give more context and give it more understanding on what exactly you're doing, what are you trying to do, what are you trying to get out of this whole process. So the more context you provide to these LLMs, the better results that you start getting out of this process. So it's more like you have this untamed um, animal, you're just gaming it to do some specific task that you want to do, right? So how do you write a prompt? So what are the different methods? In a prompt, what do we look for in a prompt? So you need to specify the goal that you want to do. In this case, is to create a table and then define the inputs and outputs. In this case, for us, it would be what's the dimension of the table, how wide it needs to be, how tall it needs to be. So I need to specify all those kind of information, specify the environment and the versions that you're working on, which is in this case, like you'll say, I'm working in Rhino 8 or Rhino 7. I'm using edit Python script window, and then I want to copy paste my script into the Python so that I can get an output. And we should also describe the logic. Like there isn't much logic in making the table, but when you're making a script or something, you need to describe how the LLM should approach this thing, like a specific goal that you have. So you can specify how you want it to approach the goal. And then the last one is preference or style. This is the more you use it, you'll understand like how you want the LLM to organize your scripts, and you can specify how it needs to be, if you want it short and sweet, or like if you want it to describe everything that's happening in the script, which you can later read. It's easier for you to read through it and understand what's happening. And we'll see some examples of it later. But these are like most important things when you're trying to prompt your prompts to all those LLMs. Like state your goal, what do you want to do, define your inputs and outputs, specify the programs that you're working on. So these are like giving it more constraint and saying like you're just like helping it to navigate and like focus on very specific problem rather than just allowing it to do multiple different things. So the, writing a prompt, this would be a really helpful way to organize your prompts. So next time you try it, like try to give more context to your prompts. The better prompts you have, the better results you get. With that, like I want to jump into different modes of conversations with these LLMs. Like how do you converse with these LLMs? So before going to this, maybe I will take a short break, maybe 5-10 minutes break, because it's going to be a heavy session after this, and we can come back after like it's 1:57. I think this is a good time to take a break. We'll come back in 5 minutes.
Just say 5 minutes after the hour.
Yes. 3:05.
Perfect.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I think I'll start again. Let's talk about the different modes of conversations. Like, what are the different modes in which you can have a conversation or prompt things in these LLMs? So, pretty popular one, just write a Python script, like write a text prompt. You can just have a conversation with these LLMs using text. Pretty normal ones, and then use sketches, like this is actually an interesting process. So you can see a sketch. I did this sketch to create a Python script to create a grasshopper script. And I just like wrote my steps that I want, my thinking as a sketch, just drew a sketch and provided that as input. And it's able to understand the sketch that I provided and then make a script out of it. And you can see the description of that sketch that I provided in first like different steps and saying what exactly needs to happen. And it's the process of thinking through the sketch that I provided. So images or sketches or things like that could also be a great way to have a conversation with this LLMs. And combining them together, like this would be the best way. Like give a image and say like provide a prompt and describe what you want to do using that image as a reference. Combining these things together will definitely give you better results. And there's obviously this having a conversation, just like a voice prompts, which is great to have like quick short conversations, but it's not the best way, like best thing to do when it comes to scripting or coding. So I wouldn't recommend that. But having the images, use images, sketches, and text prompts to have a conversation. This works better. So before actually going to examples, I just want to like give some key characteristics on like the whole process of vibe coding and things, the characteristics that you would see in an LLM. This would actually help you understand a bit more about what are you trying, like what are you going to get out of these tools, rather than them just being like, oh, AI can do everything. They definitely can't do everything or stuff. Like there is some characteristics to these LLMs that you need to understand when you're asking for something, asking it to do something very specific. There's about like 10 to 12 things that I have listed out over here. So there is a very limited context memory. It can only understand to a certain amount. So it can't just like make relationships with everything that you've had a conversation with. It has very little memory. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. And there's like limitations to how much output that you can get from it. So if you're asking for a very detailed task, it will be really hard for a LLM to do it because there is a little context window. So that's one main thing to keep in mind. So it's more like short-term memory loss or something. And then it always wants to end the conversation with you. It does not want to keep like building up the conversation. It's not a person who's trying to solve your problem. It just wants to give you an answer and stop right there. So it has a tendency to stop and conclude or summarize all the conversations that you're having with it. And it's trained to be polite. It's built based on reinforcement learning. So it's trained to be polite. It'll always be polite to you and it'll always agree to things that you say. So that's something to keep in mind. And it's the most confident thing that you'd ever see in this world. It's overconfident. Yeah, Tim, do you have a question?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Just on the memory front, I wanted to pick your brain on, is that the same for all models that you've tested, or do you see slightly more extended memory or less based on Claude versus ChatGPT, or do you have thoughts on that?
Yes, everything has its own different context windows and stuff. Like I don't have much of technical knowledge on those things to answer your question in detail. If someone else has, like, feel free to answer them. But from GPT-4 to GPT-5, I've seen results completely different. And comparing GPT-5 with Claude, you get a completely different results. And there's surely a context window and like the tokens that you can use for these LLMs. Yeah, there's a lot of difference between them. Yeah, that's what I said, like for our purposes, when it comes to just writing a Grasshopper script, I found Claude and ChatGPT 5 way better than other things. But if you're going for really long scripting, like definitely Claude is the best one for coding in the industry, as far as I know. Yeah. So it is overconfident. It's gonna say things like it's going to admit to everything that you're saying. It makes a lot of mistakes. All the LLMs, they have on the bottom that they make mistakes, so make sure you check everything that you get out of it. You can't rely on all the information that you get from these LLMs. As I said, it agrees a lot. It agrees to everything that you say. It has an over explanatory behavior. It tends to just give more description to things. It does not have any self-awareness, but everything that it says, I think, I understand. All those kind of things are basically just to make you feel better. So it does not have any self-awareness by itself. And yes, there's a lot of safety and filters that's provided to all these large language models since it's for public uses. So you have a lot of limitations that you need to understand when you're using these tools. And it tries to think everyone's the same. It's not personalizing to yourself unless you're using the memory function. That's why I said I use ChatGPT, because I have my memory function turned on, and the more I use it, it understands my needs. So if I ask for a Python, like if I ask for a script in Rhino or Grasshopper, it knows that it needs to give me a Python 3 script because I've used it so many times. So it learns from, if you have that feature turned on in ChatGPT, it learns from it, and like it gives you result. The more you use it, the more customized, the more it gets customized based on your usage. And so it's trying to, like the predictive neutrality, it's more like it's trying to mirror what you want. It's more like it's trying to give you an answer that best suits you, rather than trying to give you the right answer. There's never the right answer. It's always trying to please you. So it will always look for the answers that best suits you or what you want to hear. If you, I've seen this multiple times. The more longer conversations that I have when I'm trying to like ask more questions on the same topic again and again, after a certain point, it starts to make up its own thing. Even code, like I've seen like multiple codes just like broken into like halves, and it just puts random things into it. So it has a tendency to hallucinate when it's asked a lot more questions. And the personality drift, it's more like it's as long as you're not set, you don't have it set up to understand you and like provide information. It's going to just take different personalities based on if you're asking academic questions, casual questions, and emotional questions. I don't know how it's going to change as OpenAI is informed that they're going to open a lot more features focusing on like personal relationships. So that might be a completely different context in which the LLMs would interact with us. So it takes a lot of different personalities based on the questions that you ask it. So these are some of the behavior, the characters that I've seen and experienced that I try to put in. It's not like this is true. Everything that I've shown is this is how it works. It's just like my kind of perception and things that we thought this is doing. There's no like set research on saying this is how they all react or anything like that. It's just basically from my self discovery on how these LLMs are working. So I'll start with an example, a real world example on how I used this LLM or vibe coding process in design. So in a studio, I had this task to build a Grasshopper script to create this style pattern that we have. This is the reference style pattern, and took it to ChatGPT. I'm like, analyze the style pattern, write a Python 3 code for Grasshopper to create the tile pattern. I will input a surface and a tile size. Like I'll provide a surface. I want a basic information like the tile size. So I need to be able to control the tile size. And I also want a random seed option, which will allow me to create multiple options. So it analyzed this image and it says it's a tile pattern consisting of squares divided into triangles, and then it's going to provide like basic colors. And then the first script it gave me had a bunch of errors, and all I did was just took a screenshot of that error and put it back into ChatGPT. In this place, I would say give more context. If I'm taking a screenshot, I would take a screenshot of the entire screen. If you're using Rhino, you make sure you show Rhino, a version of Rhino, and you have Grasshopper screen open. Make sure you show the Grasshopper screen with the nodes that you have in your Grasshopper environment, and give a screenshot of the entire thing so it can understand more context and the things that you are using. So it can give you better results. So it'll understand like, okay, you have a node, you have a Python node, you have the inputs, you have the outputs, and it'll try to give you better results, or it tries to troubleshoot much better when you give more context. So I gave the error message as a screenshot back to ChatGPT, and it found what exactly the error is and gave me another code that I copy pasted into Grasshopper Python editor. And then this was the first result that I got out of this process. This is great. Like it is able to get a surface and make it into two triangles and apply colors to it. But this does not look similar to the input reference image that I've provided. So I wanted to ask more, like I want to evolve on this thing that I've done so far. So the next one was like, okay, you didn't get the results right, maybe analyze more and give me a result. So you can see a couple more iterations. And finally did get that triangles right. It was able to divide the squares into 4 different sections and put random colors on them, but it still does not relate to the pattern that I have on the reference image. So next one, I took a screenshot of that image again and then circled on those tiles that I have. And I said like, the organization of the pattern that you have so far is not right. Can you just look into it and then make something similar to this reference image? It brought in all the white spaces that you see in this image. It was able to understand that, but it still didn't get the color organization of that reference image. So the next one, I was like, okay, I provided more context to it, and I'm saying you still didn't get this thing right. Maybe approach it in a different way or something like that. So the next updated code, it came up with this 3+1 tile rule, where it says 3 tiles of same color and 1 tile of white in each square. So the next output that I got had 3 tiles of the same color, like 3 triangles of the same color and 1 white. And later it was able to add the white spaces to it. So finally, the result that I wanted, I got an output from it. So this is a comparison between, this is something that I already built. This was the Grasshopper script that I was evolving with the designer back and forth with them. It's a 3 days process, trying to understand and build a script to get the results that we want. Whereas this one over here on the left is with a conversation with ChatGPT. And this whole process was less than 2 hours. So you can see from the beginning, I just had like multiple copies of it. As I iterate through the whole process back and forth, I'm able to get to this point. So this just proves that my script still is better. Like there's a lot more consideration, things that I've put in. There's a lot more errors and like things that was resolved, and it's made specific to the user for sure. But the idea is just that it lowers the entry for anyone to get into it, as long as you know how to put a couple of nodes in your Grasshopper script on your Grasshopper canvas and do something. So this allows the designers to get into it who has lesser idea knowledge on how to use these computational design programs and start building something to a certain extent, iterate on different ideas. And once they reach a certain point, they can reach out to an expert. So they can take over and like build something solid for the use that they have. So I thought this was a great example to show how this whole idea of like vibe coding, it's not one question, I get one answer would be the right answer. It's more of an iterative process. The LLM is trying to understand something that you want, but there's a lot of back and forth so that you get a result you need to direct it on what kind of result do you need, just like what we've been doing. The table, we're just trying to create a simple table with 4 legs, and that does not give us the results. And like if we have 12 people over here, we are trying 12 different, like we are all trying to do the same thing, but we are getting completely 12 different results. So this is a world of randomness. You can't predict things. If we both are using the same prompts, you can to get completely different result. I'm going to get a completely different result because it's all random outputs from these LLMs. Even if you're using ChatGPT, even if you're using Claude, we are both everything is the same prompts. We are getting completely different results. So trying to learn how to uh, help these programs navigate and get the results that you want would be the whole idea of like vibe coding. So, which takes me to it, like vibe coding sounds cool. Is it really? I would say yes and no. This process is annoying, frustrating, and random. Like it's so annoying, it frustrates us a lot, and it's completely random. Um, but it's such a great idea or concept that we can use on a daily basis. There's a lot of examples that I can tell you. It's not one point solution. It's just a tool that's going to help us to accelerate our processes and help us do a lot of different things. With that, I want to stop right here before going to another section. Maybe we can jump into a like Rhino inside, Dynamo, Grasshopper, and do one task in each. And with this thing, I want to just show you how to take this and to a next step and like have a functional Grasshopper script just by using vibe coding as a process. So I want to show all the different options that we have. I'm going to start with Rhino. Let me open Rhino. You can follow along. Let's do something with this whole thing. And the first one that I'm going to do is using the Python editor that we have in Rhino. In order to access it, you guys already did it. The command is edit Python script. Edit Python script. And this is going to give you a blank Python script editor where you can copy paste your script. And I want to start from just making a simple cube. This is just, I'm just showing you an example of how to use it. So just to make a simple cube, it was a lot. Like you can see over here, Claude, I'm just asking, all I want to do is just make a Rhino 8 cube and had to ask like 4 different times, give it all the errors that I got to make a simple cube. So I'm going to copy that, paste it in here and hit play. It's trying to make a cube, which it does not. Obviously, it didn't create a cube. I'm going to go back and prompt it again. Start a new chat. Create a cube 10 by 10, 10 in Rhino 8 using Python script editor. Place the cube in the origin point. So I'm also providing it like a little more information on how to approach this problem just to make a simple cube. So crazy. So it says open Rhino 8, type edit Python script in the command line, copy paste this code, click the green play icon to run this code. Let's see. Delete this, paste my code, hit play. There we go, we got a cube. So this is how you use a Rhino Python editor to run a scripts that you're building. But I don't think the script editor in Rhino is a great way to do things. I would rather prefer doing it in Grasshopper instead of Rhino Python editor. So let's see how to create place a Python node in Grasshopper and then create a script out of it to do a specific task, and then make that into a function code that you can just like deploy to people or like use that script. I'm also going to show how to use Grasshopper Player in this process. So you can open Grasshopper, follow along if you can. Open Grasshopper by typing Grasshopper command in Rhino. Or you can also find Grasshopper in the standard tab. And then there's Grasshopper, a launch Grasshopper icon over here. You can click on that. Or you can also go to, I guess it's in Windows. Sorry, it's in Tools, Grasshopper. Yeah, under Tools, you can find Grasshopper. So you can also run Grasshopper by clicking on Tools Grasshopper in Rhino. So once you're in Grasshopper, once you have Grasshopper open, you can navigate to the Math tab. So if you click on Math, you have a whole option for script. So when I click on script, you can see there's different scripting options in Grasshopper: the C#, Python 2, Python like Python 3, and VB script. So this is what I say when you give LLM little more context on what you're using. So I'm using Rhino 8. I'm using Grasshopper. In Grasshopper, I'm going to use Python 3 script editor. So the code that's being generated should be tailored towards like the Python 3 for Grasshopper 8. Sorry, Rhino 8. So I'll click on that node, place it in the canvas. So a Python node in Grasshopper is a custom node that will allow you to do custom things that's not available in the all the visual nodes that we already have in Grasshopper. So once you place this node, there's obviously a series of inputs and outputs that you can see. And if you zoom into the node, it's a highly customizable node. You can add inputs, you can remove inputs, and you can add outputs and remove outputs. And they have a lot more control over these inputs and outputs in Python. So in Grasshopper, if you right click on one of those inputs name, and you can see there are a bunch of options over here. And all I want you to see is these things over here, which is there is required. Like you can say if input is really required, someone has to provide an input to run this node. So you can specify if it's required or not. And then there are different access options, which is an item access, list access, and tree access. Item as in there's only one element that needs to be provided. List, you can provide a list of elements. Tree access, which is list of lists. So you can provide multiple lists into this node or input. And then there's type hints. So this will allow you to allow the users to know what kind of input that they have to give. So in this case, let's say the X needs to be a number, which can either be a float or an integer. So say I'll choose integer. And if I hover over this node, you can see it says type hint integer. So it takes only integer. So you can specify what kind of input do we need to give to this input over here. So I can say like surface. If I'm providing a surface, I can choose surface over here and specify that's going to be the kind of input that we need to provide in this input node over here. And you can do the same for all the inputs that you have. And since we are using a programming language, it's also case sensitive. So the inputs need to be renamed. We'll talk about it when we actually prompt something and provide inputs and outputs. So you can change the name of the inputs over here. So if I right click on it and you can say there's X, say my input is going to be a surface. So I can type SURFACE, and that would be my input. So you can customize this node however you want. And the same goes for output. I can customize my output and say this is going to be hexagon, so something. So I can customize my output. And I would always leave this out, which has like a basic function to itself. So just leave this out. Don't make changes to it. Always have this out. As long as you know what you're doing with it, you can remove it. If not, you can just let it be. So with this node, if you double click on the node where you see the Python logo, if you double click on it, it opens up this Python editor. Just like the Python script editor that we saw in Rhino, you can copy paste your scripts over here where the script is just like saved in this Python node that we have. So in, I just want to make a new script. So I'm going to make, I have just a sample image. Let me find it. Give me a minute. Right. I'm going to make an hexagon pattern script. Maybe I'll just do it right away. Oops. Try to take the simplest form. Okay, I'll take this, copy image, go to Claude. I'm going to say create a Python 3 script in Grasshopper. And I'm going to say Rhino 8, just giving it more context. So we have already mentioned what we need. We need Python 3 script in Grasshopper using Rhino 8. Make a hexagon pattern similar to the reference image. So I'm saying that's what I want to do. And I will provide input surface. I'll provide inputs, which will be surface. Let me just put it underneath this. We'll provide inputs, which is going to be a surface. This base surface to apply the pattern, and then size, tile size. So I'm going to give 3 inputs. One will be surface, one is going to be the tile size, and random seed underscore seed. And the value that controls the pattern. And output, I'm saying this is going to be my output, which is hexagon. That can be my output. I think I'm going to just stop there. I think I provided enough information to it. And hit OK, because I'm also giving an image. I don't have to describe more. I said I need a Python 3 script in Grasshopper using Rhino 8. I'll provide like the surface, size, and random seed will be the input. And we can see while it creates over here, it already creates inputs as surface. And then we need to provide base surface. So if you have no experience with scripting, you can just like read through these scripts that these LLMs are creating. They're pretty good at organizing them. And this is a great way for us to learn how it's organized. So it says the inputs will be surface. So you need to make sure that you're creating a surface, size, and random seed. And it also gives the type property. So this will help you to identify what kind of type hint that you need to provide in Grasshopper, and also gives the hexagons as output. It'll say list of hexagon surfaces that you'll get from the output. So it's done creating the script, and I'll highly recommend you to also like read through the things that it's describing about the script. This will help you to fix any issues that you have in the script. So the better you like read through everything and understand what's happening, so you can like troubleshoot it if there is any issues later. So I'm going to, all I need is just like these inputs. So as long as I know what I'm doing, I'm just going to go ahead, copy the script that it created, and then go back over here, remove everything that's in here, and then paste the script. And we need to just set up this node based on the inputs. So there is surface. I've already inputted surface. Second one will be size. So I'm going to right click on Y and then remove Y. I'll type size. And the type int. So make sure you're clicking on the type int and say this is float. It says tile size float. So there's an option called float. I'll choose float. And then, yeah, don't worry about the errors that you're getting until you finish everything, the entire setup. So we need another input. In this case, it would be random seed. So right click on it. I'm going to say random underscore seed. So these nodes are case sensitive. So make sure everything that you type is exactly the same. You can also like copy paste it. It needs to be exactly the same as the inputs and outputs that's provided in the script. And the output will be hexagons. So yeah, we have all of them. I have all the type in and everything set up. So all I need to provide over here, I'll just make sure it's surface. Yeah, it is set to surface. I'll just provide the input surface. I'm going to just create a surface in Rhino. And use this surface and reference that surface to the grasshopper node. I'm going to place a surface container from the parameters tab and just search for surface. Look for surface. Should be over here. Surface, place the surface node. Right click on the surface node. Set one surface. It'll take you to Rhino. Choose the surface. And then I'll take the surface and connect it to the surface. Yeah, I won't worry about any errors until you have the setup done. And towards the end, if you still have errors, that's when we try to troubleshoot it. So next one is the size. It needs a float, like size of each tiles that we need. So I'm going to provide a slider. So I'll double click on the canvas and I'll type for slider, or I can just input by typing some random values. I'll say 2.0. It creates a slider. We'll just connect that to this value. And the last one will be a random seed. So the random seed, we need an integer, which is just a number. I'll say 5 and connect that slider to random. So I have all the inputs. I have all the, I've set up the outputs, but I'm still getting an error. And I'm not sure why it's happening and what kind of error am I getting from this thing. So what I will do is I'll take a screenshot of this entire thing. So the most important thing is the error you're seeing over here. This would be the error that you get from Grasshopper. So you need to get a screenshot of the entire thing. So I can see my surface that's selected. I have the Grasshopper Python node, and I see the script that's copy pasted already. And I also see the error that we have in here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this entire thing. Copy it, go back to Claude. Let's Claude, there we go, and paste it in here. I don't have to describe anything else. I can just like provide the screenshot and it'll try to understand the error. So it says it can see the error in the terminal. The issue is that the planar surface object does not have getLength method. So there's like a specific method in Python that it's not able to get it. So you can clearly see how it like resolves the error. And it says it fixed this issue. And does it say use the surface bounding box to calculate? Okay, this is something that we don't have to do anything. I'll just copy it simply, go back to Grasshopper, remove the whole thing, paste it again, and you can hit display. And let's see. Okay, so I don't have any errors anymore. I can close out of my script, and we have, okay, there we go. We have something. I'll hide my surface. I'll also hide the input surface. Be off. And there we go. We have a bunch of hexagons controlled by the size over here. It works. And then also random seed. It just randomly offsets extrusions and stuff. We didn't even ask for it. So you can iterate over this script that you got, like ask more questions and iterate and try to get an output from here. Let me have my surface. I'll try to move it to different locations and see if it works. It works. Do points on and try to change these instead of planar surface. Yes. So I tend to like check different methods on a surface and see if it works for everything. And you can see it already creates something really interesting. I'm sure there's more options in there to like rotate these things. So you can start building on top of this node that you created and use this whole script. So this is exactly how you try to create something, find an issue, just try to resolve the issue that you get in Grasshopper, Python, and then take it back to Claude and fix the issue. This is just like such a simple process to create a script that you can use. Like if you have a specific pattern that you want to create, you can totally use this process to create it, right? So a couple more things I just wanted to show is how to use this whole process. Like say you have a functional script, you just want to like share it with someone else and they probably want to like use the same thing. There is something called remote panel in Grasshopper. So if you go to view, so there's a remote control panel. If you click on that, it creates this dialog box in Grasshopper, which will allow you to send these number sliders that you have to the remote panel. So if I right click on this number slider, let me rename it first. So I'm going to rename this to say tile size. And the second one will be random pattern. Random seed. Any questions so far? I feel like I'm just like going. Any questions? Do we have anything in the chat? Okay, perfect. So I just renamed my sliders, and maybe the grasshopper is just like annoying, too many screens to see. I've already have my script, so I can right click on it and you can say publish to remote panel. If you do that, you'll see the slider in remote panel in Rhino. I'll do the same for random seed, publish to remote panel, and I can just close Grasshopper. Grasshopper is still running in the background, but I also have the slider over here. I can just control slider using the remote panel. This is a great one if you already have a script and then just run it and you have a remote panel that you can use to do these things. There's also another way where you can actually convert the Grasshopper scripts into a command in Rhino. So in the parameters tab under utilities, you can see this whole get and context break options that you see. So over here, I can use get geometry. So what we are going to do is like converting this whole script that we created into a Rhino command. So let me delete this surface, and I'm going to take this and input that get geometry into the surface, and I'll rename it. I can right click and I'll rename it to input surface. So I'll provide a surface over here. And you can also see when I right click on this node, it gives you a lot of options. So I can say like, I only need surface. I can check surface, or you can just leave to any like geometry inputs. And then on the next two, I can go to the utilities and you can find get integer, and it should also have a float option. No, just integer. So you can provide a number. So I can take this get integer and put it in size, copy that, paste it again, get integer and put it in random seed. So in this get integer, I'm going to rename it to tile size. Tile size. The next one, I'm going to rename it to random seed. So we have tile size, random seed, and then the final one will be output hexagons. Since I already know, like you can see there's already red and stuff, like we know the script works. We run our tests and stuff. So I'm just going to make this into a custom node. The final step would be we have all the inputs, we just need an output. So go to utilities and look for context bake. So this will bake all the information that you get from here into Rhino. So the output content, I can just leave that. So I'm going to go ahead, save the script. I'll just put this in one of the test scripts that I have. It's pattern. I'll save that script. I can close out of the script. I don't need it anymore. So there's also another option that's called Grasshopper Player in Grasshopper. So if you click drop down, click on the drop down on the Grasshopper icon, you have this play button that you can see. The same, you can also type Grasshopper Player. So I'm going to go ahead, hit Grasshopper Player. So it'll ask you to open a script. I can click on the hexagon pattern script that I have. So first it's asking input surface. So I can go ahead and select the surface. As soon as I selected it, it selected that script surface, and it's asking for tile size. I'll say my tile size is going to be 5, and then a random seed I can provide like 30 or something. There we go. So we have we quickly, I'll delete the surface. So we created a script, and we also created the Rhino command. It's easy. You can build your own scripts, give it to someone else, ask them to just open it and ask a bunch of questions, and they can quickly create a script. So you can use this whole process to customize your own script. Even for your own use, you can have multiple. So now that I have it, I can put another surface or anything, and then just explode. We'll take one of these other surfaces and we'll do Grasshopper Player. Choose that script again, choose another surface. I'll say 3, 3. Oh, maybe it didn't create it because open, click on that. 5. Okay, there we go. Since it was vertical surface, that script was not built to create objects on the vertical surface. So that's probably why it's creating that issue. But you can see like you have a functional script already that just creates something in less than 15 minutes. You have the whole process. So this is how you would create a script in Grasshopper and add a bunch of inputs and outputs. It's all case sensitive. Make sure you get your inputs and outputs right. This would solve most of the issues. If you don't know what are the inputs and outputs, if the Claude or ChatGPT is not providing you that information from the beginning, you can ask the LLMs to provide you that information of what the inputs are, what are the outputs, or you can specify these would be our inputs. And I can start building on top of this. I can go back to Claude and ask to I can say, great, this created a specific thing. Maybe can you add some rotation value? Can add a rotation value to the hexagons input rotation input name, add a rotation value to the hexagon. So it's going to build on top of the script. So let's say, yeah, so it added a rotation value to it. It's organizing everything. I don't know, it's fascinating to see it doing this thing. I don't know if anyone else feels the same way. Just looking at it creating all of these things, it's crazy. So it says add a new input in Python called rotation, connect a number slider, and the number slider's minimum maximum should be 360. So I can go ahead, copy this, go back. Let me delete all of this. Double click on it, select everything, delete it, have a new code, copy paste it, save, close out of it, tile size, random seed. Just have to add a new one, call it rotation. Copy paste this one, connect to rotation, the surface, create a surface, set one surface. There we go. And then preview off. Let me create another slider, which is 0 to 360. Connect it over here. See if it works. Yes, so you can see the hexagons does rotate in plan view. Like it just rotates the hexagon. Maybe we should specify if I need a little more variation in it, make a 3D rotation. So you can specify if you're a Rhino user, you know all the commands. So there's a 3D rotation. You can add a 3D rotation value to this. And then now you can add an input and output and just make it into a Grasshopper player and use that as a Rhino command. So do we want to go ahead and try one of these options on any specific thing, or like I can jump to the next stuff? Like we have similar kind of things for Rhino inside and Revit, Dynamo. Are we doing good? Okay. I'll take that as an S. I just don't want to lose anyone. Okay. Doing it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Carlos. Let's go to the next one. I'll jump to Revit over here. It's my Revit.
Hey, Harish, this is great, by the way. I was just looking at some of the things you mentioned earlier. That thought about copying and pasting in the actual screenshot involving not just the code, but the version number and components. That's a good one personally, because I had never thought about doing that. Like I would just do error messages and code, but I guess in an image, like everything in that image is sort of fair game for the LLMs to get context out of. So that's super helpful. If you think we are switching topics and don't mind taking another quick 5 minutes, that's also
Sure.
good. I don't know how much of the third hour, if you're planning on stretching all the way, then it might be a good idea to give another quick coffee break or something.
Yeah. I think we should. Yeah, we can. I think we are at the second hour now. We can definitely take a break and come back. So next session will also, like the next part will also be a setup in Revit and Rhino inside and Dynamo. So I'll probably just show an example on all three of them.
Perfect. Should we say another 5 or 6 minutes? So at the
yes,
top
let's
of
say
the
another
hour?
5.
Okay.
Yes, we are at 2:54 for me. Let's take another 5 and come back.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you. Let's just jump into the next one. So when it comes to Revit, there's multiple options. Unlike Rhino, there's a lot more things you actually can do in Revit, which makes sense, and like it's a lot more logical. Instead of when you move out of the idea of like geometry manipulation and then get into like data, I think the vibe coding is like a little better in that realm. Like I've seen lesser issues. So as I said, there's multiple ones in Revit. I've sent a link in the email, like I sent everyone an email before the session this morning to install like Python shell. So if you have Python shell, I just opened the example Revit file, and if once you install Python shell in Revit, you can find it in add-ins, and it should have added an interactive Python shell. So this is just a part of PyRevit. So if you have like PyRevit plugin, it was built along with the PyRevit plugin. This interactive Python shell, it just like pops up a Python shell in Revit, which will allow you to uh, interact with Revit API stuff in Python, which I think is a really interesting way to interact with them. So obviously, you can use a Python code over here, and you can test out quick things in Revit. So I'm going to start with this one, and then jump into Dynamo and quickly show you how to set up. I'm not going to do anything in Dynamo. I'm just going to show the Python editor and then how to create a Dynamo player out of it. And then finally, we'll jump into Rhino inside. So when it comes to Python shell, you can, let me go back to Claude. I'll start a new chat. So I'm going to ask create Python code in Revit. I'm using Revit 2023. Using Revit Python shell. So the terminologies that we use is really important. We can't just ask things. We need to, as I said, give more context. So what I want to do is the 3D view that I have active, I just want to see the furnitures. So I need something to isolate just the furnitures quickly, hide rest of the categories and see only the furnitures. You can obviously go to visibility graphics and do, but the sake of this process, I want to show how to do it over here. So I'm going to say in the active document or in the active Revit view, Revit 3D view, I'm using a 3D view, isolate the furniture category. So I think that that's good enough for now. Let's see if there is any errors, like we can resolve it later. So I'm going to give that as an input. So as I create Python code in Revit 2023 using Revit Python shell, I think that's enough information. So it says isolating find furniture in active 3D view. Got a script already. Let's wait for it to complete it. So it says key features, check if the active view is a 3D view, collect all furniture category elements in the current view. And then it says it's using isolate element temporary command. It's a Revit API thingy to isolate the furnitures. So it says how to open Revit 23 and activate a 3D view, open Revit Python shell, copy paste the script, run the script. So I'm going to copy this code, go to Revit. I have a Python editor. I'm going to just paste it in here and say hit run. Okay, let's see. I can close out of this, and you can see over here, it just created a temporary hide or isolate option, and then isolated all the furniture categories. So this thing is a window shade. It's also in furniture. That's interesting. So it isolated all the furniture categories. So there you go. That's a great example to quickly use Python shell to have a very specific thing to do. And this Python shell is the way in which people actually build the PyRevit plugins. So there's a lot of you can quickly just make this into a PyRabbit plugin. I can say like works great. Mm, mm, Works great. Maybe make it a PyRabbit plugin. I'll convert this into a PyRabbit plugin with proper structure and button interface. So yes, so it gives all the instructions and stuff. All I need to do is just save this as a Python file. Yeah, you see it's giving you the folder to save your Python extension folder in C drive, and then this is the folder structure that you need to do, and then save your script as script.py and copy paste this code. And if you save it in this location and refresh PyRabbit, you'll probably see another tab. I've done this before. So you'll probably see another tab over here, and then it'll just add a button on the tab. And there you go. You have a PyRabbit plugin that you can use to do the same exact thing. So if you want to just isolate all the furnitures, if this needs to be a button that you don't want to go to visibility graphics every time and isolate the categories and stuff, you can just simply convert it into a button and have it somewhere in Revit and use it. So this is how you use Python shell. So let me reset temporary and let's go back. Let's try to make the same thing. I don't know if we can make the same thing in Dynamo, but let's try it. So in order to access Dynamo, if you haven't used Dynamo before, you can find Dynamo in the Manage tab, and all the way to the end in the Manage tab, you'll see Dynamo. If you're using Revit 2016 and above, you'll definitely see Dynamo. So click on Dynamo. It's going to create Dynamo. There you go. You have a new Dynamo tab. I'm going to just put it over here. So I go to File, New. You have the Dynamo interface. In Dynamo, it's just a little different from Grasshopper, how it's almost the same, but just a little different. So you can search for Python. On your left, you'll see this search. This is where all the nodes are organized, where we will see everything on the top in Grasshopper. In Dynamo, everything is on the left. So search for Python. So you can do Python script. And once I click on it, it just places a Python script node. It's taking a minute. So I'll zoom in. I can right click on it and then you can say edit. It's the same similar thing that we did in Grasshopper. Over here, you can also like add inputs, remove inputs. There's only input that you can add. I don't think you can add multiple outputs in Revit Python. You can only have multiple inputs and there's only one out. So everything needs to come out throughout. And all the AI do know that. So if you, as long as you specify that you're using Dynamo in Revit, it'll give you just one out. And all the input will be as in command like 1, 2, 3. So there's something that you need to note. You can right click on the Python script, right click on it, edit, and it'll take you to the Python script editor in Dynamo. What's going on? Oh, okay, I'll let it work, do its thing. While it's working, we'll just go to Claude and I don't know if I can actually do the same thing in Dynamo. I'm gonna just ask it, can I do the same task in using Dynamo? That's thinking too much.
Oh, so you might give you the list of components instead of the Python code, no? Or
I don't. Okay, maybe. Maybe it's gonna tell me how to do it. I'll ask another chat. I don't know what's going on over there. Isolate all furniture elements, furniture category, furniture elements in active view. And for that, I'm gonna say create Python script for Dynamo in Revit 2023. Isolate all furniture elements in an inactive view. Okay, let's see. Probably might be able to do that. I don't know. How does result? So let's say I've created a Python script for Dynamo, open Dynamo, Revit 2023, create a new Python script node, paste the code in the node, run the script. Okay. Copy. Cool. Something's wrong with this node. Edit. I might be acting up today.
that's part of the reason as well why I stopped using Dynamo.
Yeah. I don't use Dynamo anymore. But okay, so if this works, this is where you copy paste it. I just want to show one more step. I'll just do a simple addition in Dynamo. Just do addition, and I want a slider, number slider. So consider this is your Python node, and then you have figured out all the inputs and outputs the same way that we did for Grasshopper. It's the same process. And so I have two number sliders. I'm adding something, and then finally I need to put a watch node. Take that input. So you see there's two inputs and an output. So you can right click on this node and say this is input, and the same for the next one is input. I'll just rename this. We'll click input A. Then the next one will be double click on it. Input B. And then that's an output. So I can right click on it and say this is an output and save this component. Control C. I'll just put it in the same place that I have the other ones. Add and save. So I can close out of Dynamo. So I made these two as input and this one as output. And say you have your Python node with the specific thing that it's doing. You can save the script, close out of it, and in the Manage tab, you have right next to Dynamo, you have Dynamo Player. Click on that. It should give you this dialog box with preloaded Dynamo scripts. These things are just provided by Autodesk. You'll probably see it when you open script Dynamo Player. But you can also add folder locations with list of scripts that you have. So I can say add folder, press on this plus icon. I'll go to my downloads, test script, select that folder, and I've selected that folder, hit OK. So now I have a drop down. I can go to the test scripts folder and have my add script, hit play, like click on it, and then you can see there's like our inputs that I've created, one and like something, and then if I hit run, should give you an output. So this is just a simple addition, but you can still do this for your you can make this as like what we did before. You just have it over here and you just simply hit run, and then it'll probably isolate all the things that you have. And you can customize it however you want in the Dynamo script, and you'll see the results over here in the player. So that's how you do it with Dynamo player. And it's the same process that we did in Grasshopper. Copy paste your script, make sure it runs, and then you can see your results over here. But I want to go to the next one, where is you get the best of all the worlds in one place. Revit or Rhino, everything in one place is Rhino Inside. So if you have a Revit license, you have Revit program, if you have Rhino and Rhino program installed, you can install Rhino Inside. I've also sent you a link to Rhino Inside in the email. So once you install Rhino Inside, you'll see a Rhino Inside tab in Revit. And Rhino Inside is basically a program that connects Revit and Rhino. It's Rhino inside Revit. Revit and Rhino is connected using Grasshopper. So you can see a Rhino start command and see everything is grayed out. So if when I click on start, it starts Rhino, and then it gives you a bunch of options for Rhino. And you can see there's Rhino, there's Grasshopper, which we are familiar with. So if I click on Rhino, it creates a new instance of Rhino within Revit. So it's basically a Rhino opened inside Revit. If I close out of Revit, my Rhino will also close. This is not Rhino that's open separately out of Revit. This is a Rhino inside Revit. So I can have a Rhino over here. And if I click on Grasshopper, oh, okay, so an interesting error. This happens because I opened Dynamo before I've started Rhino Inside. That's why you get that error. When you try to open, if you do it the other way, if you start Rhino first and then try to open Dynamo, Dynamo won't even open. But this one, it at least gave you an error and it opened it. But that's the reason for that error is because you opened Dynamo before Rhino Inside. I think they both like share some API stuff, so they kind of clash with each other when we try to use them both at the same time. So that's something to keep in mind. So have Grasshopper open inside Revit, and I don't see, okay, I need to restart Revit. So there should be a couple more. Yeah, it's all messed up. One Dynamo can mess up things. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just open again. I'll close out of my Rhino. Close. Revit. While it opens, do you guys have any questions about Python shell or Grasshopper stuff? Is anyone following? I'm sorry, it was a more hands-on workshop when I was doing it in person. Just the best I could do online.
This was still awesome. Just looking at the different use cases, I guess, or different
That'd be the
platforms.
I'll just give a we still have 40 more minutes. I'll probably just take another 10 minutes on the Rhino Inside side because it's a lot more useful using Rhino Inside compared to Dynamo and Python shell. And then I just want to show one quick method to create scripts and add it to your Revit interface to make it a button, which is useful to us. And I have a script that will show an example I did using vibe coding, which I'll open it up right now. I do have a bunch of examples. Maybe, yeah, while it opens, I'll go back and forth and open it up. So I'll show you some example on this research. So this is like, I have a middle board on all the examples and things that we did for vibe coding. We tested out all of these like generative LLMs. I did it with Michael Huniak. He's in Denver studio. Starting with like pattern exploration. So there are a bunch of patterns, just taking images or reference, asking to create Python code and seeing its interpretation in Grasshopper, in Rhino, Fibonacci series, and this example that I've already showed. A lot more example, like all the same kind of processes, trying to create patterns, step-by-step instructions on how to do it. So you can see it created a triangulated pattern over here. And go to the next one. This is the very first thing I tried to do with vibe coding. So I just made that into a task on my workshops. I tried to create a table. These are the things that I got when I tried to make it. This was, I think, with ChatGPT, I tried to do this. Yeah, this is another interesting one on the roof. I gave this image, and this was a basics prompt, like saying Python 3 code to create this roof, and it came up with this interesting form. I thought it was fun. And another process over here, you can see I wanted to do this millwork. I wanted to create this into a parametric script. So the first time I tried, this was the output that I got. So I took a screenshot. I sketched on top of the screenshot saying it did an amplitude, it created an amplitude, but it was in the wrong direction. I want it in a different direction. So I did a screenshot and drew on top of that and gave that screenshot. So the next result I got was this, and I did another sketch on top of that. I need different amplitudes. And it said different amplitudes. I'm just building on top of that. This was the result I got. And I said like add rotational value to it. So the next output I got was like with a rotational value on top of that. So I think this was an interesting process, like interacting with it through sketches. This is another pattern. And this process is another interesting one where we go step by step, asking it to create a sine curve, but starting with dots. The next one, we said like add lines, make that into curves, and then divide the curves with a certain dimension. And if I go to the next page, so add some extrusion, pipe the thing with the rectangle, and then make it extrude, like make an extrusion, project them to a single surface, and then take that into Firefly to make some AI animations with it. And this was one of my favorite ones that I did with vibe coding, where I did this very rough sketch with I can't make sense out of, and then I said write the Python 3 code for this form in Grasshopper. The interesting thing, if you see in the code, it kind of understood that this is a sinusoidal wave. Like if you read the description, it says the script creates a sinusoidal wave surface using NURBS. So it interpreted that sketch that I provided without any context as a sinusoidal surface using a NURBS surface method. And in the script, you can see the width is 100, depth is 100, the height is 20. It understood that I provided those information in the sketch. So this gave me an idea, okay, sketch could be a way of interaction with these LLMs, and got output like this. And I said like add more amplitude, and finally got this interesting form in Grasshopper with just a couple of steps. So talk about that later. With Dynamo, was a simple test just to see if Dynamo actually works. I don't do a lot with Dynamo, but this was an example where I was able to copy paste a script. And the interesting part in this one is that I took a example Dynamo script. I want to do a very specific thing in a specific way. So I took an example Dynamo script that I was able to find online, which was done by Jacob Small. Jacob Small is like one of the users like in Dynamo community. He works for Autodesk. So I took a script as a reference and asked it to organize it in a way that he can do. So the script that it generated was similar to what he did. So I thought that was really interesting, and used that in Dynamo to create like a slight off-axis issue, figure out that. And it got me into tool development. I started making like plugins for Revit. This one's like DWG Finder, and you can see this was using C#. You can create like a DWG plugin. And no, I don't want to get into the image stuff. There's few things that I'll show at the end, but I think this is a really interesting process with Python shell. Go back to this one. And while Carlos is here, when we were in Boston, we went to the Boston Hackathon, and then we did this project called Monkeys on Keyboard. So this was, I want to say, 9 people with where 8 of them has little to no coding knowledge, and in 8 to 9 hours we put together a web app which is called Monkeys on Keyboard. So if I go to this app, you can see, so everything in here is AI generated. So we had about 18,000 lines of code to create this web app using vibe coding. 9 people, very less coding knowledge, and we built this in 8 or 9 hours. There's only one person who had idea about the whole thing. So he said he wrote around like maximum of 100 lines of code. Everything else out of 18,000 lines of code, 100 lines of code was manually written. He's trying to troubleshoot, but other than that, like this can add objects. And then once we added the object, like we can select an object, transform it, added like transform things, scaling options, can rotate it, scale it, and then we also like added art piece, like you can just like populate stuff, and we have different things in here. So each one of us created our own thing that we wanted, like a one feature in the app that we wanted. The snake, there's trees, there's like Fibonacci stuff in here. We went crazy with this thing. And there's like effect selectors, like choose material for each one of them. And we also have like, we added an AI image generator. So once you have a view, it can capture a view and generate an AI image for that view. But this is like they removed the API key. You can't generate anymore, which was just like one-time thing that we did. But we have more presets. We have preloaded objects and presets and stuff. You can see over here, this is a tall tower. And this tall tower was also vibe coded, like ChatGPT built this whole thing. It created a JavaScript to do this whole thing. You have different background images. We went crazy. I love this process. It was a fantastic process. It lowered the barrier of entry for all of us, get into this thing, and we wanted to try out something and did the whole app in like 9 hours, which I think is fantastic.
Question about that. How did you, how were you able to have the AI know what was happening in other like modules within the code? Like, because that seemed like fairly organized in there in terms of your folder structure and everything. But I imagine like, you know, those weren't individual scripts. That was all a whole bunch of things that were sort of interacting together, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So we worked with Luke. His name is Luke. So he had everything set up in the beginning, and like he gave a base template, and then we used Cursor AI and also the Microsoft Visual Code AI. So each of the users, like us, we just went in there in the module that's already there. The AI can read through the folder structure and everything that's already there, and it can create modules based on that.
So you're doing it within VS Code?
Yes, in VS Code and Cursor.
Okay. So it already understood all of the folder structure and all the other context of the other code.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
yeah, there was a little bit of troubleshooting that Luke had to do, but other than that, like it was all completely by code. And if you have something to add on, Carlos.
No, it was an interesting exercise that really lowers the barrier of people getting into code something and then just open a can of worms and start to think about the possibilities. But yeah, it was a combination of Visual Code, GitHub, right, to share. And that's how we put together like building blocks. Like each of us were just doing one little block. Hopefully that block will interact with someone else's block based on what the Cursor AI will find into the repository, and you just like keep building on top of each other most of the time.
All right, yeah, there we go. It works now. Never open Dynamo before opening Rhino inside. So you can see the only difference over here from regular Grasshopper is that you'll see a lot more nodes that's specific to Revit, and you can see these only if you open inside Rhino, inside like Rhino inside. If you open Rhino separately and you won't find all of these nodes, this is specific to Rhino inside. And we have a separate Revit tab. You can find like all the familiar things that you've used in Revit. You can create things, add floors, columns, and all sorts of different things. That's direct shapes, like a lot more things as types, views, and all different kinds of things. And you can also access all of these things just with Python nodes. So now you just have to specify that you are in Rhino inside using Rhino 8, Grasshopper in Revit 2023, and create a specific thing. So I'm going to show you an example of one of these scripts that I did earlier. So let me go open documents. By the way, I have a lot of script. I love Rhino inside, and there's a lot of scripts that I've done with Rhino inside. But this one particular thing, open it. Nice. Scripts. All right. Let's see. So as soon as I open the script, yeah, it should ask me a pop-up like it's asking, are you sure no one else is in this project? If I choose yes, it'll run a command, like I can press yes, and I say there's some error, and then I can close it, which is not normal to see in when you're using Rhino inside. So what this script does is each of the walls that we have as a area parameter, but we wanted this area parameter that it has like the areas that it calculates. There's no way to take this area and make it into a tag. So you can tag it on a 3D view on the walls that we have. We need it in multiple projects. So in order to do that, like we just created another parameter, added a separate parameter into the wall where you can take this area from each of the wall and like put it back into that parameter so that when we tag it, we can tag the area on the walls. So this script just does that. So all it does is takes an area parameter value and then takes that into another parameter called wall area and then just updates it. But the interesting part over here is I had to make it user friendly so that someone does not have to open the script and see run things inside the script, which I've seen multiple times. Users who have no experience using scripts would be completely paranoid about this process and they won't use it. So had to make it easier to them. So what I wanted is the script works fine. So I wanted to make this into a button in the tab. So I also don't want to take the plugin creation route. There's an option in Rhino inside which will allow you to make buttons out of Rhino inside. So once you choose Rhino inside, if you click more on the drop down and you can go to options, there is an option to add scripts. So I just added the script location where I have the script saved. and you can see the script just pops up over here. So it creates a Rhino Insight tab, and then it just has the script placed over here on the Rhino Insight tab. And I can just like simply go ahead and click on that, and that will run the script. So in the script, like I added this section which references to Revit API to give this Revit dialog box. This is not possible to bring in using Rhino Insight or just Dynamo. You need to use Revit API to get this dialog box. So the users, when they run it, it's going to say, are you sure this script requires everyone to get out of Revit model? So when someone's running it, no one else should be in this model. So I'm going to say, are you sure there's no one else in this cloud model or something like that? If I say no, it's going to say, please make sure you check with your team and then try again. I can run it again, and I can say, if I choose S, it didn't run properly. There's some errors because I don't have the parameter set up already in this example file. So it's going to say there's some errors because the script didn't run properly. So check back and like reach out to a person to run it. So if I have it set up in a proper project, this should work. But over here, like I'm fine with building all the Rhino Insight part, but in order to get that task pop-up dialog box, I had to use get into Revit API. I don't have much knowledge on that. So I used a Python node. There was a back and forth between ChatGPT, and it just created this simple thing where it just does this dialog, that task dialog thing, which references from Autodesk Revit UI. And all I need to give is just an input message. So in this case, I'm just putting a panel and then providing an input message. And there's just few things that I had to change. Everything else was just like built from a ChatGPT, and I used that. So it's asking if you run the script, if the output is true, then run the script. If not, then you'll just give this error message. So I have the error message that you guys saw. It's the same thing, just modified a little bit to say, please make sure everyone's out and try again. So all I need to do is just make those text changes in the script that I'm getting from ChatGPT and use it to my needs. So my point over here is you don't have to do the entire script using ChatGPT or Cloud AI. You can use them in different parts, like use them in a script that you're already using, like already well-versed doing, but just take them to the next level by adding these things at like specific points to do specific tasks. That's not possible out of box tools that we have in Rhino Insight or Dynamo or like Grasshopper. You can just use these nodes in a specific way to access all the other things that's capable for us to do with these tools. Do you have any specific questions in this? I can like go in deeper and like say what exactly is happening in the whole process. I totally prefer Rhino Insight over Dynamo. It has a lot more options and the interface is really nice. The way Grasshopper organizes everything is much better than Dynamo. So this is definitely my go-to when it comes to Dynamo or Rhino Insight. If we don't have any questions, I'll go to the final part of this session. Let me check the chat. There's nothing in the chat so far. Okay, cool. It is an illusion. Yeah. The whole process of vibe coding is an illusion. It looks like it is productive, but it's actually not. It still takes the same amount of, it still has a learning curve to it. We still need to get used to it and try to understand how to interact with these tools that we have. It's just another tool, but it has accelerated so many things. It has helped me to learn a lot of new things in a shorter period of time, which typically takes a lot more time. Obviously, if you ask me to build, write my own code, Python code or something, I probably won't be able to do it from scratch. but I can think through it. I'm a computational designer. I've done so many Grasshopper scripts and stuff. I can think about the process. I know what exactly I want. Uh, by just interacting with these tools, asking the right questions, I can take snippets of things and put them together to build something that I want to build. So there's a whole learning process to this whole AI thing. It takes you to a certain point, brings you back down. So there's constant ups and downs. I think this meme is like really interesting one to show. So vibe coding, this is fun. I want to just show a glimpse of what's coming next. If you guys have not heard about a model context protocol, MCPs, there's a lot more sessions that's happening in the AECtech on MCPs. So there's also another one today at the same time, which is the Raven workshop. I'm like mind blown by what he's done so far in that tool. So we are getting into the world of MCPs, Model Context Protocol, which is just an intermediate between the LLMs and the programs that we use. So you don't even have to do this process of copy pasting. You're just giving complete control to the large language model so that they can directly access our programs and do things for us. I've tested it out for these programs. It's giving more control to LLMs. So they get crazy. Sometimes they do even delete stuffs from the models. I've just lost a whole Rhino elements. Like I still saved them, but like uh, a question that I asked, it just deleted the entire things in Rhino model. It was like, oh, you have an issue. Let me clean up the entire thing and then like fix it for you. I'm like, stupid. Um, it's crazy. So this is a Rhino MCP. There's Rhino MCPs out there where it connects directly to Claude. So this is an example where I'm showing I put a chair and I'm like model a chair of this reference image. So I'm not doing any back and forth. The prompt is happening in Claude, and then it takes the image and then builds a chair in Rhino. And then next, I'm like, okay, I have this texture in this specific location. Can you take that location and make a material and apply it to the object? And it creates a wood material, applies to the object. This is really fun to test out the MCP, Rhino MCP using Claude. It's a fascinating process, and it can do a lot more things. It just gives complete control to your Rhino model. So test this out. And in Revit, there is this plugin called BIM Logic, which is still in beta, but I tested out this BIM Logic beta plugin. So same thing that I showed example with Python shell. I was like, categorize all the walls in this 3D view, apply a specific color to it. And then it did that. And I was like, okay, remove all the other element categories, just keep the uh, Revit walls and just color them in a specific way. And like it says, like there's 53 categories, there's like 1,200 walls in your Revit model, and I'm gonna color them based on types. So just gives me just a thought out there to like how we are going to use these programs to model in future, and how are we going to interact with these programs that we use day to day. These processes be completely different. So just something to think about. And finally, I want to show the Raven plugin. So this is an interface in Grasshopper. You can just install this using package manager in Grasshopper, and all you need to do is just sign up to the account in Raven. I can put a link to the Raven in the chat. But great program, try it out. I was mind blown by just doing it. So it's same, prompt it, ask for a script, but in this case, instead of a Python script, this actually builds a Grasshopper script right in front of you. I'm like, oh, this is insane. Yeah, I'm asking for it. It's thinking. It's. You can see over here. I'll just let it run. It instantly just populates your Grasshopper interface with nodes. And the best part is that I probably did like 5 or 6 different scripts with this process, and all of them worked on the very first go. Like there was no errors, it just like did everything right. You can see it just populates script nodes while you're looking at it, and then all I need to do is just input a surface and curve, and it generated an output. I think it's done creating the script. Yeah, so I created a surface and a curve in Rhino. I wanted to keep this, I didn't want to speed up this video because I wanted to show it in real time. But yeah, you get the point. Like, so it just creates that script. It's fascinating to see that script runs without any issues. Because even if you use Python, it's just going to cause some errors and you have to go back and forth. If you're new to Grasshopper, it's a great way to learn Grasshopper using this process. And then the next one, it can also read an existing Grasshopper script and make changes to it. Which in this case, like when I used a Grasshopper script that I already built and tried to ask it to change it a little bit, but it just removed the entire script and started building something from scratch again. So we are giving that kind of control to these large language models. So that's scary. But I think the process is interesting. If we know how to control it and use it, that'll be like really interesting one to use. Yeah, you can see it just added extra nodes to the existing script. And finally, just a last example on the same Raven. This is Kangaroo script. It's not easy to build. Like Kangaroo, like you need Kangaroo scripts don't usually run if you're doing it for the first time. It takes a lot to build these physics simulation scripts, but on the very first go, like it just built a Kangaroo script for a cloth simulation using wind. So I thought it was fascinating. With that, I come to the end of this session. I'm gonna open it up to questions, concerns, comments, your thoughts, anything that you have.
First of all,
thank you all.
I'll just quickly say thank you so much, Harish. This was really interesting and a great session, long session. Thank you so much for the time and the effort. And yeah, guys, feel free to chime in, ask questions.
I know it's long. Yeah, thank you for sticking on until the end. 3 years is long. Like I'm like drained. I don't know how you guys do it.
Really want to put in the work. It's fascinating. It's incredible to see just what everybody in this space is doing and testing and what they're achieving. I had a general question that's not necessarily about the LLMs or process specifically, but maybe your experience with the excitement or the hesitation from your peers or coworkers, project managers, ability to explore this space or not? Are you seeing people who are getting it and saying, yeah, I want you to try this out because we now see that capability? Or is it more of a struggle to get these things implemented at your firm?
I don't think they're at the stage where we can actually implement them. We are exploring on it for sure. But some of the comments I get, there's mixed feelings about this thing. I've heard people saying, "Oh, this is going to take my job." Like some people are really like they're scared when I show these things to them. But there's also like people do want to explore it and try it out. When I show it to my younger people, they'll be like, "Yeah, I want to try it out." And when I show it to someone older and like say a PM or something, they don't understand what this can do. Like I'm showing it to a person who don't even understand what Revit is. It's just it's a I don't know how are they going to approach this, because I think in the industry it's already there's a huge gap between like people who know how to use these programs like Revit and Rhino and all those things, and there are also senior designers and principals and everyone who don't even understand, like who does not have understanding on how these programs work. There's already a limitation or like a gap between how we use these programs. But I think these programs are just like even it's just taking everything to like another level and causing trouble. Like they have no clue what these programs can do, and sometimes like sets bad kind of expectations. They think it can do more, but it actually can't do it. They think things are faster, but it actually not. Like it takes a lot more time, and there's still a learning curve to this. It's not a magic button that someone can click and get an output. They still need to understand all of the things and like outputs that they're going to do. Um, the vibe coding is still not there. I've seen the same experience in generative image generations. So the same kind of frustration and things, but I think we have a solid workflow on where to use it and how to use it. What are the different things that you can do with image generation? For this one, I think we're still exploring and trying to understand and learning how to use these programs.
I don't want to take up the whole question time, but also I'm curious about what you keep an eye on, or where you stay up to date with what the latest models, opportunities related to the architecture field. You know, do you just stumble across these, or are there any particular resources that you recommend people keep an eye on to stay up to date?
I try, like, from personally, I get all of these from LinkedIn. Like it's mostly my contacts, like what they're doing. I constantly go to presentations and these kind of conferences. That's where I pick up things. It's mostly social media and LinkedIn and some of the colleagues. Like I try to keep up with people and conferences. There is I don't think I can point you to a resource that I know that has all of this like in one place. Yeah, it's just LinkedIn, YouTube, and social media and colleagues and conferences.
Adding you on LinkedIn now.
Yeah, I you can find all the things that I like, so you'll probably see it. But yeah, like even the vibe coding thing, like the whole idea, I picked it up like in 2023 when I went to a conference, like 2024. I went to a conference in Austin. There was this person who showed, like, it was not detailed, but the idea of like you can take a screenshot and put it back into ChatGPT just changed everything to me. Like I was like, oh, so you can give it back this image and it can understand and give you a result. Like that kind of just uh, had this trajectory for me to like get into it and do all of these things. And the more I tested it out, like it started giving results. So I'm trying to understand more of these tools.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a big one for me. Like more of a comment than a question, but the text prompting was great and the description was great. But as soon as I learned somewhere that, oh yeah, I mean now, and of course with improving models, right? I mean, Google, I think, was the first one that kind of came up or announced that, oh, we're going to do multimodal from the get-go, and at the time there was like big hype. Okay, multimodal, and you don't just have to type everything. And then ChatGPT just like quietly just like, yeah, of course, why not? You can just paste it in, and that just became so, like you said, that was a little bit of the turning thing. It's like, okay, great, you can just put in snippets, and here's how, like instead of trying to explain things. And I think my limited experience with this workflow, giving it a sample, any of these models, and saying, or giving it an example. I use it for coding a lot. And then if I can just give it like, look at this class and like, make a similar one that does blah, blah, blah. And that's way more effective than trying to talk through it or explain it. Maybe because I'm doing a bad job of explaining, or maybe because the model does a really good job of almost emulating copying than like coming up on its own. I don't know if you've got similar experience.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of like giving it more context. The more you give it, you because we are probably like trying to find something in this huge mess of internet and like asking it to do something that it doesn't know what you really want to get out of it, right? Like it's more like it's a realization for ourselves on understanding what exactly we want, right? Rather than like it trying to figure it out.
Definitely an exciting time to be playing with these tools.
Yeah, it's scary too. In schools, like it's just like students in schools.
I can imagine.
Whole different thing.
Yeah, someone asked in the questions if the presentation would be shared, and I said yes. At the what we do generally is after AECtech, we kind of compile the virtual sessions and the in-person sessions. We'll just clean up a little bit and make them concise, but we'll keep pretty much all of the content as is, and then we'll share those links for you to maybe go take a look at something that you might want to revisit, or even the presentation somewhere on a central location, and we'll share that through email to all the participants. So yeah, you can have that.
Yeah, I'll share this presentation, just accept like a couple of slides. I'll remove
Yeah,
it.
absolutely,
And
absolutely.
Share.
Yeah. Feel free to remove anything that does not need to stay public or cannot. But yeah, that would be great. And we're kind of at the top of the hour there, so unless anyone else has any question, thank you so much to our speaker, and enjoy rest of AECtech, and hope to seeing some of y'all, most of y'all, in New York next week.
Thank you all.
Good. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Take care. Bye.
3 hours.
Thanks.
Yeah.
See ya.